Very counterproductive to impose any sanctions on Turkey or to do anything, because it would be,
I'll
because
tell you
right now
why.
they are very they are just like Russia. They are also they are economic partner, but they are not like exactly they aren't posing any threat to freedom of speech or religion to Europe, but Russia does.
How do we threat freedom of speech to Europe when it's European countries that are banning our news networks first? That's number one. And number two, you should probably know this because you live in Europe. Turkey has you by the nuts because they have a little tap. It's a migration tap. And they've been threatening Europe with opening up that tap and letting more migrants in. That's the reason why.
That doesn't work for them. No. They
No,
tried to do it. They tried to get us into allow us get into European Union, or we will let migrants come. We said no, no.
yeah, exactly. But they can still open it, and that's the thing. There are no sanctions on Turkey because Turkey is part of NATO. It's no matter what Turkey does. And the thing is, Turkey is actually one of the more independent partners of NATO because they right now they invaded Iraq to get rid of the PKK. And they vowed to say we're going to get rid of European and American hands from the Kurdish region of Iraq, the Kurds that the Americans actually supported and funded. So America hasn't done anything. Turkey hasn't sanctioned Russia, and flights via Turkish Air are flowing through. And Turkey can do whatever it wants with those migrants by opening or closing it. Turkey is one of the most independent or sovereign countries that I've seen because they can buy weapons from wherever they want to. And they even kicked, I remember, I think they kicked off the Americans from their base after a coup d'etat was supposed to happen in 2016, I believe. And actually, the Russian president then informed Erdogan that this coup was happening, effectively probably helping in one way or another to save that government. So Turkey is actually a very independent player, even though it's part of it. This whole situation. But we've talked about Crimea. We've talked about, even the Solomon Islands. We've talked about Turkey and everything like that. The recognition of the republics, that was one of the events that happened before the invasion of Ukraine. Do you know what else happened that made Russia invade? I mean, you said you were following the situation. You might know them.
Yeah, we're talking about Ukraine, but we're digressing a bit. So
no, not really, not really. This is important. Every bit of information is quite important in a conversation. That's why it's better to have a face-to-face than a conversation in messages. So you mentioned Minsk agreements and how Ukraine wanted to, fulfill them, right? Not Zelensky didn't. In fact, he stated publicly that he didn't. It was a mistake to sign them.
It was a mistake. I think it wasn't him who signed them. Wasn't it Poroshenko before?
Poroshenko, yeah.
Yeah, not him.
So another great person who said that our kids in Western Ukraine will go to school and your kids in Eastern Ukraine will be living in basements.
He's in prison if that makes you happy.
When was he imprisoned? When was Poroshenko in prison?
Yeah, Poroshenko, he's prison. I heard that he is isn't he like trialed? He's trialed.
We'll see. So Saakashvili is the one who's in prison. Another guy who got Ukrainian citizenship and became the governor of Odessa. But there's no corruption in Ukraine. Don't worry about it.
Sorry, excuse me.
I said Mikhail Saakashvili, who started the war between Georgia and Russia. Okay, the president, who's now in jail in Georgia, was the governor of Odessa, and he was given Ukrainian citizenship because for a variety of reasons, probably. I mean, he was friends with Poroshenko. There are pictures of them serving. I think they served in the same armed force, something like that. But either way, now we're digressing. But so Zelensky didn't like and didn't want to adhere to the Minsk agreements. Then, under it was a NATO conference, he wanted to get nuclear weapons back. And they have capability of building nuclear weapons. Ukraine was very technologically advanced in the Soviet Union because it was a nice place to be. It was warm, climate was much better, you had access to the sea, et cetera, et cetera. So they had the capability of building such a weapon. There was a glimmer of hope that this war wouldn't happen. And that was with the recognition of the republics. Because fighting actually stopped. Shelling of Donetsk and Lugansk actually stopped for at least 2-3 hours, I believe.
When was the recognition of the Republic?
The 22nd of February,
Yeah, but
2022.
that's when Putin said that Minsk agreements are no longer in play.
Yeah, but that's because Zelensky said he was the one that actually, what do you call it, didn't want to follow the Minsk agreements and wanted a nuclear weapon. He stated that. So when the president of a government says we're not going to follow the Minsk agreements, why is it that Putin stating the Minsk agreements are no longer in play is all of a sudden Russians' fault when we're not the ones who did it?
I've read he didn't want to sign it, even though Putin has told him to, but he didn't want to sign it because that time the Russian military was still on the Ukrainian in the eastern Ukraine, and the part of the deal was for Russia to withdraw the troops.
No. Read the Minsk agreements. There's no point about Russians withdrawing.
Foreign powers had no place. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
There were no foreign powers were supposed to be on the Ukrainian
and there were foreign powers in giving training on the western side of Ukraine. There was supposed to be on the demarcation line. Heavy artillery was supposed to be moved back, but there's nothing in the Minsk agreements about the Russian military being in eastern Ukraine.
But there is something about
Nothing.
foreign military, and Russia is a foreign country.
But what I'm saying is that take a look and read through them again. Foreign instructors were present on both sides, okay? And foreign militaries, at the time they weren't foreign anymore, were present in Crimea. The Russian army was there, and Ukraine didn't attack Crimea this whole time. Not a single person died in Crimea because of it. I think in the beginning there was some kind of sniper exchange and 2 people died. So 2 people, I think, died in Crimea during the whole takeover or annexation or them rejoining, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, Zelensky didn't want to follow the Minsk agreements in 2019. That was part of his campaign. Aristovich also didn't like the Minsk agreements, and he was an advisor to Zelensky. But then this was the 22nd. I believe it was the 22nd was the recognition. Something that Europe doesn't seem to understand, maybe you can understand, is that the more sanctions Europe puts on Russia, the more freedom we have to do whatever the hell we want to do. So when Olaf Scholz suspended the certification of Nord Stream 2 after we recognized the republics, thinking that's going to stop the conflict, now that we'll sign an agreement, now that we can actually place our military there. But Ukraine restarted bombing those locations, those newly formed republics, if you want to call them that, or breakaway republics. So on the 24th, 4 or 5 in the morning, Russia invaded using air, using sea-based, land-based rockets targeting military infrastructure. So there was plenty of time. There was 7 years to stop this conflict. Russia tried to stop this conflict. I mean, how long do you think we should have waited when people in the East? I have friends from the East, Casimir. I have friends from.
Don't worry.
Huh?
I'm listening. Don't worry.
I have friends from the East. I don't need the government to tell me what's been happening there. I don't need to watch documentaries. I can just talk to them. I have people who I trust more than I would trust either the government of Russia or, by a long shot, any government in Europe. So I know what's been going on in that region. I can hear the difference in the accents. I can understand who's fighting who. I followed this via video uploads when Eastern Ukrainian regular people, civilians, were trying to stop BMPs and other military equipment with their bare hands. Again, because they didn't agree with the illegal coup. They didn't. That's the nature of revolutions. So in my opinion, the suffering of people in the East has completely been ignored. And now in the beginning of our conversation, you mentioned that you wanted to bring peace, right? You wanted everyone to live in peace. I mean, it's great. I want everyone to live in peace. Peace is nice.
You want the same thing, right?
But we do want the same thing.
There is one problem. You want what Putin doesn't want. That is the problem.
No, see that's the thing. This is European. I'm not afraid to call it propaganda, saying that Putin doesn't want peace.
Personally,
We
that is my opinion. That is my opinion
yeah,
as well. And
but
I'm not subjected for propaganda. That is I see what Putin is saying, what is he doing, how he's acting. That is something I think it's true.
so why don't we? So if Putin doesn't want peace, why are we accepting why are we accepting Ukrainian refugees? Why, like, what's the point? What's the point of us going
You
into
can
Ukraine?
accept
Because
Ukrainian refugees. There is no
huh?
there is no bad thing about it. Why not?
No, but here's what I'm saying is that you're saying that Putin wants war. Why?
No, he doesn't want to war. He wants greater Russia. He wants Ukraine and Belarus to
Who
be under
who
Russia.
who said? Yeah, but again, first off, 2 points. Because I think what you're trying, I'm not going to say what you're trying to say, but people have been saying that he wants to resurrect the Soviet Union, right?
No, I don't think think so.
Yeah, but do
He
you know?
wants totalitarian state. That's true, but not exactly.
But we don't have a totalitarian state.
You have authoritarian state. Yeah, but it's not that far actually. It's getting
Well,
totalitarian. That's the problem. That's the problem with Russia.
we have what do you call it? There's things that can't be said in our press. The same way there's things that can't be said in American or European press. Because, for example, if you voice any opinion, a Bulgarian army major or general voiced his opinion. A German one voiced his opinion as well. And they both got fired for saying we should understand and respect Russia's something. I'm not going to quote them because I don't remember. They both got fired. We know that there's censorship happening in Europe. And
you are talking about the Germans, some kind of military admiral or somebody who said in
I think admiral.
Yeah, I think that was clearly, that was very wrong. I think that was wrong.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You're saying that Russia is authoritarian, but here I'm clearly pointing out that Europe is just as authoritarian.
Yeah, that one thing is the sack people, to get not give them job you provide them for, like from your personal belief. But one thing is to arrest people and to threaten them that they can serve up to 50 years in jail. That's the problem.
What? Because it's wartime?
Because they say нет войне, just нет войне. They say война or anything like that.
No, there's first of all, these are extraordinary circumstances, and anytime a nation is at war, I'm saying war, right? People think that I have to say military operation. No, because then that's a different discussion. But what are you supposed to do during a war? That's what happens. Any government that is in a war or a military operation,
America, people were protesting. That's why.
That's because America. Hold on. That's because America was attacking Iraq, which was thousands of kilometers away.
I'm talking about Vietnam.
And they weren't. And Vietnam, which was thousands of kilometers away, and not to mention, what do you call it? Vietnam War vets were jailed for voicing their opinion. You do have to research that as well. You had protests, like remember when the National Guard, remember when
what they were arrested for
protesting the war.
The veterans, yeah, but civilians will not.
But they're veterans from the war. What difference does it make? They're civilians. They're no longer in the army.
In the 60s, when there was armed conflict, people were protesting, but there was no.
There was no violence. There was no violence.
They wasn't arrested. They weren't persecuted. Hippies and everything who protested against the American government.
Are you sure about that? Do you remember the incident that happened on the college campus in New Hampshire, Maine, or somewhere in Northeast? I think it was Northeast U.S. when the National Guard shot protesters.
Yeah, this could have happened.
It did happen.
It wasn't on a global scale that they enacted law that anybody who will protest against, who will express their opinion, who will enact their right for a freedom of speech, who will exercise their freedom of speech, will be arrested. They never said that.
And again,
they never did.
This is, first of all, this is our country, just like the U.S. has their own set of laws and regulations. That's number one. Number two, if the U.S. was fighting Canada, then we'd have or Mexico, then we would have an accurate comparison because, again, we have a very big info war machine that affects the minds of people here. Many people that don't even know what they're protesting or why there's a war or what the fight is about. So yeah, these are extraordinary circumstances. People for spreading fake information can get fined. Businesses can get fined a lot more. There's always a difference between a person and a business doing it. So yeah, there are freedoms that are curtailed during this conflict, but there were no, like, people have this idea that he's authoritarian, but they can't give me an example of how he's authoritarian. This is extraordinary circumstances now. I expect there to be a curtail of freedom of speech during wartime. It's normal. It's not good, but it's normal.
It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. It's just one step, and one step can lead to another.
No,
It's like if we talk, yeah, as much as people tolerate it, they can push you a little bit forward. You see that. You see
What?
that right now with Russia, that
What?
you support the military intervention, you use the Z sign.
I'm not using the Z sign.
Many people do. Government is actually encouraging people to use it, and they use it
How?
themselves.
Wait. How is the government encouraging people? This is important.
They use the Z sign.
How are they encouraging them?
In Luzhinki, on the stadium, there was like za vojnu, za národ, za prezidenta, za Putina, Z, even though Z is not a bukva in a Russian.
Yeah, I know, but how? But encouraging it, just the government is, right? It is Russia conducting a military operation or a war, whatever you want to call it. They are in there, so this is the government who is doing this, along with Russian troops. But it's not encouraging people saying, go ahead and use it. Go ahead and put it on their cars. Most of the cars here don't have that Z symbol.
I just seen a video that.
No, I know Luzhniki. Yeah, there was a big rally in Luzhniki during the 8th anniversary of Russia rejoining Ukraine, Crimea rejoining Russia. During that one, yeah. But I don't see, there's no like encouragement, that no one on the radio saying you must do this or it's best to do this. No one is paying anyone to use the Z symbol.
No one is paying, but I've seen a commercial that where people have a Z T-shirt and they saying I'm so disappointed. I see people protesting against this conflict.
Okay.
They were encouraging Zaraz.
So it's a commercial. I have a professional camera. I have a drone. I have all the necessary equipment to create a commercial and put it on whatever medium I want. Rumble, Odyssey. I can do that as well. But en masse, there is no such thing as encouragement of people using the Z symbol. Okay. My channel, for example, you can
encourage them directly or indirectly, but by using the sign on Luzhinki and everywhere, and you are selling T-shirt on a thing, and you approve the selling of the T-shirt, you're indirectly you're approving, you're acknowledging, and you're using it, even though you're using yourself.
So that's now we're completely going another direction. That's called capitalism. People are capitalizing. I personally don't like, the whole idea of selling T-shirts and making money, unless this money, like I do. I raise money and I give that money to refugees in Mariupol. Well, actually, I give it to a person who has his own YouTube channel who drives around and gives food to people in Mariupol, in Donbass, in those areas. So I do this, but I do this with my time. Okay, if people are doing this by selling T-shirts, that's awesome. If they're keeping it as profit, that's wrong. Although it's capitalism and they're free to do so if they want to do so. But I'm against selling Z T-shirts and keeping the money as for profit. If they want to send it to help people like I'm doing, then that's okay. That's perfectly fine. But again, we're talking about an extremely different time. Because you mentioned that Putin wants authoritarianism, Putin wants to grab Ukraine and everything like that. Fine. Let's say he does. Okay, because and we'll start off with Belarus. What is wrong? Why is it such a bad thing for Belarus and Russia to become closer economically, politically, militarily? Why is that such a bad thing? But for Germany to reunite, that's a good thing. That's okay. For the European Union to accept more people and more countries, to accept, I believe, what Albania wants to be part of it. Northern Macedonia now wants to be part of it. Moldova wants to be a part of it. Why is that okay? But Belarus and Russia, ethnically, such close people, economically tied together, politically, militarily, culturally, whatever. Why is that not okay?
You know what not is okay is that my friend from Ukraine, he could talk openly, he could criticize government in his country. Once he went to visit his sister to Belarus, and people on the wedding, they were afraid to talk about Lukashenko. They were afraid because everybody who criticizes government is being arrested and they can do horrible things to you.
Okay, but still,
that's not okay at all. That's not okay.
No, fine, that's not okay. But actually, them, if they all of a sudden became another Republic of Russia, hypothetically, they would actually get more freedoms than they have now. Because on Russian TV, you probably don't watch it. You probably don't even have access to it anymore.
I have. I have. If I VPN everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it used to be a lot easier to access it via YouTube. Now you have to go to separate channels. But either way, and I participated in some of those channels. I was invited to speak at some, like NTV, Zvezda as well. Mm-hmm. Now Zvezda is a government military channel. So yeah, they're like, you can't criticize the leadership now during wartime. But even still, they're lenient. They get their asses kicked if something happens. On NTV, Место встречи, they just told me, say what you want. You can say what you want, just don't swear. Make sure you articulate your point. Don't drag on. Just make sure you appreciate and you value our time because it's constrained. That's it. I could say whatever the hell I wanted to. Mm-hmm. And people out there, the opponents, would say whatever they wanted to. Mm-hmm. So as far as freedoms outside of this current situation, we had them. Russian TV and channels and everything were full of people saying stuff that I thought, in my opinion, and I'm not a leader of any country, but if I was the president, I don't think I'd have the patience with these people, with some of the stuff that they said. But this was perfectly allowed. This was perfectly fine. So as far as freedom,
have you seen Lukashenko?
I don't care about Lukashenko.
No, have you seen him? Have you seen him talking to somebody?
I know, but I don't. But that's the point. I don't care about Lukashenko.
But I care about it that actually somebody is criticizing the regime.
Yeah.
He stops the plane that is flying above Belarus, and then later the next guy, they show him that he is beaten to pulp, and he is admitting that he betrayed his country or anything that he tells.
Interesting.
Here.
Did you know that other countries practice the same manner? In fact, the U.S. stopped a Bolivian plane flying over one of the European countries and made them actually land. I'm not sure if they made them disembark or not. So stopping a plane flying over a country is completely legal under the airspace laws and regulations under that particular country.
Yeah, but United States is not suppressing freedom of speech, unlike Belarus.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
Freedom of speech. United States in their country doesn't suppress.
Are you kidding? They suppress it, but they do it in a different way. They suppress it by being completely in bed with various corporations like Twitter, like Google, ABC, Alphabet.
That's coming to an end.
No, yeah, we'll see if it's coming to an end or not. But just because they're not doing it on a legal over legislative, we'll call it that, doesn't mean that they're not doing it in other ways. Just because they're using other instruments to get to the same means doesn't mean that they all of a sudden, are not curtailing freedom of speech.
It's not like the whole America agrees with it. They try to label free speech as a hate speech, and that's how they try to suppress the free speech.
But that's what I'm saying. It doesn't mean that it's not happening. But not all
Americans, those Democrats and woke politics, they do it. But this is something majority of people don't agree with.
That even if they don't agree with it, doesn't mean that's the point. It doesn't mean that it's not happening.
And so it will not happen in the future. I'm pretty positive about it.
That's your what do you call it? Prediction. That's what you aspire to. That's what you hope is going to happen, and that's fine. No one's taking away. No one's taking that away from you. But again, and I'm asking this question once again. First of all, there are people that support Lukashenko in Belarus. There are millions of people who actually support him and like what he's doing. So that's them. I'm not Belarusian. I don't live in Belarus. That is their business. But again, Russian laws are actually much softer than Belarus's legislation or the way. So as a country coming, because you mentioned this, you don't like the fact that this is happening in their country. So again, if Belarus were to actually be a part of Russia, there would be more freedoms for Belarusian people, according to what we agreed on. So why is that a bad thing? Why is Europe and the US panicking every time there's a new agreement signed between Belarus and Russia, yet it's okay for Moldova and other countries to enter Europe, where freedom of speech is also curtailed, but in different means?
The problem is that basically that they're signed the treaty because there is the freedom of speech is heavily suppressed in Belarus, and that if Russia and Belarus are closing their ties, that there is a lower chance that people of Belarus will really be free from Lukashenko and his dictatorship.
But that's again, this is the not a responsibility, but this is up to the people of Belarus.
They protest.
They did protest. They did protest, and we had those same. I know what kind of people go to those protests. I've seen
the elections
with my own eyes.
Are heavily suppressed by Lukashenko. I don't believe he got 80% of votes.
I'm not defending Lukashenko, but even with what he has done economically, has actually been a miracle for Belarus compared to all of the other post-Soviet countries. We'll leave Russia out of this for now, who have been financially ruined. We're talking about Armenia, Georgia, the Central Asian countries, except for the ones that had oil, obviously. Kazakhstan really raised itself up. But the smaller countries that couldn't really do anything, they got financially, Belarus got independent, and they financially got a whole lot better than any of their neighbors. Not to mention stability and everything else. Freedom of speech, I agree with you.
But
they're less free.
I agree with you. And economic growth, it comes with a heavy price. That's the problem.
It comes with a heavy price, exactly. But see, there's always going to be people who want to go out there and shout all kinds of obscenities and have their own.
They can. Why not? Yeah. We do it in the Czech Republic all the time. People are protesting. Nobody's arresting. Nobody's beating them. But
wait a second. You can't possibly sit here and tell me that in Europe, protesters are not beaten.
In my country, they're not.
Well, I'll have to verify. I'm not sure about the Czech Republic, but in Germany, protests get beaten quite severely with batons, with kicks, women, men, doesn't matter. People in the Netherlands got run over by police on horses, doesn't matter. Fire hoses are used, doesn't matter. If we start getting into protests, I can easily, with video evidence, prove to you that select countries in the European Union treat their protesters much worse. In fact, our protesters, whenever they get put in a van, and this is hilarious in my opinion, they start photographing themselves smiling, going, "Hey, we're in the back of a protest van." I'm sorry, if I was living in a dictatorship, I'd expect them to be in a much worse situation than smiling on camera saying, "Hey, we're in a protest van." And they do this all the time. But listen, it's been an hour and a half, okay? Let's, because I do have to actually work. So let's actually close this off and let's have some talking points. Let's see if we are able to come to something. I'm for peace. And whether, you have your opinion, Putin and the Russian government, they are also trying to create peace for those living in eastern Ukraine because they've been bombed for a long time and the Minsk agreements weren't followed. It's unfortunate that sometimes war has to happen to bring people. It's horrible. But what else was Russia supposed to do when those in eastern Ukraine have been murdered? And more documents and information is coming out from eastern Ukraine, from even the OSCE, that there was genocide happening in eastern Ukraine.
There is not currently, there is no evidence for like a mass genocide or anything like that. And that's why you cannot call, that doesn't give you a right to invade Ukraine like a whole country. When there was the conflict, I was expecting Putin or Russia to invade eastern Ukraine and to take it under protection.
Wait, hold on a second. This is interesting. You expected him to take it under protection. Okay, so how are you supposed to do that without military intervention?
Yeah, there was military. There was already military, and there were
Mhm.
soldiers. There was military in Russia. There would be conflict. You would take the province and set the line, draw the line, and that's it. If there would be
Oh,
further conflict, it would be more legitimate.
oh, you mean where exactly? You mean the newly proclaimed republics, Donetsk and Lugansk?
Yeah,
Okay, so then you do know that Ukraine continued to bomb them after they were recognized.
yeah, but it's mutual.
No, but that's what I mean. The bombing stopped when those republics were recognized. The bombing stopped for a couple of hours, something like that.
Yeah.
But then it resumed, and not from the Eastern Republic. They were celebrating that they actually got they've gotten status of as an official country. Even if one country recognizes another country, that's it. That's official status. That's recognition. Doesn't have to be like 5 or 10 or 20. One country just has to do it. Doesn't mean that it's officially recognized anywhere. I get that, but still, they were celebrating that they got a status of being a country, and then they signed agreements for Russia to be protected. But how, logically, how are you supposed to? How else do you protect another nation who you just signed agreements with, who's been under fire by the Ukrainian military?
Would you let? Would Russia would let? Would you let Ukraine invade Eastern U? Would you Ukraine let? Let you in? Would you let Ukraine invade Russia? Would you let invade Ukraine, Russia?
No, just like they didn't. They've tried to, but we actually got through. That's why their armies collapsed at first.
If they would invade you, if they would invade territory under your control, there would be a legitimate military conflict. It wouldn't be seen as an act of aggression.
Yeah, and this is debatable. And there are Russians here who voice this opinion, who say, hey, we should have probably waited because Ukraine did amass of about 100,000 troops on that border, and they were planning, apparently, they were planning to invade anyway. And there are people here, there are people in Russia who are saying we should have waited. But then, okay, fine, we wait, Ukraine invades those two republics. Then what happens is all the people are in those republics will be subject to aerial attacks, to bombardments, to everything like that when they would be invaded by Ukraine. Now, you think, and it's logical for someone who's that far away from the conflict to think, well, you know what? Then that would paint Ukraine as an aggressor, and Europe wouldn't be on Russia's side anyway. America wouldn't be on Russia's side anyway. That's impossible. It never was. None of the crimes that were committed by the Ukrainian government against Russians and ethnic Russians in eastern Ukraine have been recognized at all. They've been getting help over and over again, financially, morally, militarily. This is all well documented by Ukraine itself. So the idea of, oh, if Ukraine invades the newly formed republics, Russia then has the moral upper hand of defending them. No, Europe wouldn't care. The US wouldn't care. And what would happen is that now there would be a military conflict in that area that would be completely destroyed. Not to mention for Russia, it would be a military disadvantage, and I'll explain here. Anyone who has control of the skies basically wins the war.
Okay, but why Russia is right now just saying that their goal is to take Eastern Ukraine? Why have you just changed the goal all of a sudden?
What do you mean change the goal?
Right now,
the goal hasn't been changed.
That they're just focusing on taking over Eastern Ukraine. That's all they do.
The focus is not. See, the focus is not to take Eastern Ukraine. The focus was to trap the 100,000 somewhat, or 40 to 100,000, whatever number you think it is, there are various reports, army that is on the Donetsk front and encircle them. That's the goal. It is in eastern Ukraine, but that's the military objective. See, if we had a military objective to take over Ukraine, then troops would be coming from Pridnestrovye. Troops would be staying around Kiev and surrounding it, rather than retreating and then displacing themselves to surround the armies in the central side, east side.
Do you want to take the whole Ukraine or not? That's the question.
No, that's it's.
But why did you invade Kiev? Why did you invade Kiev? Why did you send soldiers to Kiev then?
Well, it's a military objective. That's normal. It's a capital. That's where the president is. The idea is to try. Any objective is to take over the capital.
That's this is an act of aggression. This is act of aggression, and you're in the wrong place. Russia
Well,
is in the
no,
wrong.
see, the thing is, that's your
You
opinion.
had no right to step foot in Kiev, in Western Ukraine, anywhere else, in Odessa, when it comes. No, you had no right.
We
And
actually didn't
just
step in.
like,
We actually didn't step into Odessa. Not
you
yet,
have
anyways.
yet, and because they didn't let you in the first place.
What do you mean they didn't let you? No, there's no fighting. There's still, again,
Well,
the
there's bombing of
military
Odessa. There
objectives.
is bombing of Odessa, and
No, there's
civilians are
bombing.
killed. Civilians,
No,
innocent civilians are killed.
Yeah, but see, you're under the impression that Russia's targeting that they're targeting civilians, which is
Yeah, you just don't care. You're desperate.
What do
That's
you mean? No, hold on a second.
Russian military is
How
desperate.
does no? Hold on a second. How is targeting civilians in any way, shape, or form actually helping Russia? I would really love an explanation.
I don't know if you just less care. That's the problem. You don't want to target. You don't want to kill civilians. Russian army, like, it's not your intention exactly. But you don't have enough rockets, and your rockets are not very precise. So you don't care. You're just desperate, and you're shooting the rockets.
Actually, hold on a second.
And they can hit anything in that case.
First of all, if we've already proven to the big contingent, the big 1,000 people of various nations decided to go into the Lvov training center, and within hours we destroyed unfortunately a lot of military lives outside who were not part of they're not Ukrainian, they were killed, but they wanted to go and fight Russia in there. So we've actually proven that our our weapons are highly accurate. It's been proven. It's been actually proven. So the idea
you maybe proved it to your people, but Amnesty International says you're using rockets that are very inaccurate.
No, well, they can say what they want. We can say what they want. But the fact of the matter is, there is in no way, shape, or form that targeting civilians is actually beneficial for Russia. You would not be able to explain that.
It's not beneficial. You just try to fight.
See, I can see the aggression coming from you. I can see that your mood changes every time you want to speak about Russians murdering Ukrainians. Listen, first of all, if Russians wanted to, yeah, well, you should have actually protested against Ukrainians in the east dying at the hands of Ukraine then in the first place, and the European government should have put an end to that.
It was mutual. Even Ukrainian people were dying. They were also Ukrainian people were also tortured too by Ukrainian government. It wasn't wrong too. I was against it. As well.
But here's the thing: to put an end to that, Europe didn't want to put.
But this is horrible. This is full-scale invasion. This is rape.
It is because
this is very bad.
Hold on a second.
This is serious.
Relax. No one is telling you that it's not serious. No one is telling you that it's good. No one on the Russian side. See, you have this impression that Russians are jumping up and down saying, "Hey, finally, we're going to go."
No, I have the impression that the Russians are in full control of a psychopath who doesn't care about human lives. He cares about big Russia. He cares about getting Ukraine. That's the problem.
That's the problem because you don't live here, and you probably look at a whole bunch of.
I'm glad I don't live there. I'm really glad I don't live there because this is crazy. What's happening right now? I'm so glad to be in a country where we had a freedom of religion, freedom of speech, when we don't invade others, when we are.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. You're part of an alliance. England doesn't invade other places. What the hell was England doing in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Right now, we are not invading anybody.
It doesn't. You said you're glad to be part of a country that doesn't invade places, but you did. That country invaded other places. Let's get something straight. So see, what happens is
that's true.
What I'm asking.
We are not killing our own people. We are not. We wouldn't invade Scotland.
Hold on a second.
Scotland would like to be separate. If Scotland would have a referendum and they would say,
"Okay,
we want to be independent," okay, we would say, "All right, that's no problem. Okay, good luck." That's a hypothetical. Russia would send soldiers in there and try to impose their power on the government.
That's why I'm asking you to relax a little bit, because when you start getting frustrated, and this is normal for a variety of people, when people start getting frustrated, they start saying something that is incorrect, false, maybe over exaggerated. If Scotland wants to leave Europe, the UK, then we'll see what happens. Because that's something in the future. You can't predict what will go, if it'll go one way or another. It's not possible. There's an Irish conflict that has been, not exactly a peaceful one, but that's a different story entirely. The fact that you think, yeah, you don't live here, that's fine. I do. I don't live in a dictatorship. I can say what I want.
Not yet, not yet.
No, see, the thing is, I don't deal in future hypotheticals when it comes to not yet. Or I know that, for example, if I have 2 kids, I will get money from the government.
Have you read 1984?
I know,
Have you read 1984?
Yes, I've read 1984.
And you know how authoritarian government is dangerous.
Yes, but again, this is our problem in Russia, and we don't expect anyone from the outside to tell us who we can or we can't elect, or who we can or can't
but you
support.
have the biggest nuclear arsenal in the world. You have authoritarian government. You have claims on Ukraine, on Belarus. You want to expand.
Well, hold on a second. Again, just you're getting a bit flustered.
Yeah,
claims on Belarus.
This is the problem with Russia, that you are dangerous to us. You are dangerous to us. Really, you are.
See,
I'm afraid.
here's the thing.
You just on the television. I read the news that you have threatened the UK that you're gonna use nukes on us, or you're gonna.
Are you sure? Are you sure you read that correctly?
Not exactly.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're reading that word for word? Because I read the exact same thing.
Not nukes, normal bombs, normal bombs. You're gonna bomb our territory. You threaten us. You threaten all the time, and you're testing. You're the only country.
But why? Why did this happen? Why did this happen though? Why? Why did this happen? But why did this happen? Why was this said? Why was this said? Why did the Russian minister, whoever it was, I can't remember, why did he say this?
Because we are indirectly supporting Ukraine. That's what.
But why exactly? There's a particular, because
that is the reason. Because we
no. This is a war of words. This is a war of words.
You have on your website
the UK said?
A list of enemy countries.
Yeah, that's fine. We're part of we're on the list of, we're an official enemy of the United States. A while back.
And then you're bragging with nuclear weapons, as the only military power in the world.
Again, what did the UK say for Russia to respond this way? I know you've read this.
Yeah, so let's say it's the right thing that Ukraine has committed retaliation strikes on Russia.
No.
Yeah,
that's not what it said. He said that the weapons that are being transported to Ukraine, they can be used to strike Russian territory. That was what was said.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's when Russia, again, here's the thing. Russia didn't go out and say, hey, we're going to strike the UK.
Okay, so
Russia responded to something the UK said.
Britain did wrong? How did Britain deserve this?
You're kidding, right?
How did Britain deserve this?
What? A war? If Britain didn't want Russia to say something, whoever that person was in the military shouldn't have said what he said. That's it.
The problem is we see you as a threat, like nuclear war.
But hold on. You're going in circles. You're going in circles. We know this is not a joke. Do you think that we Russians want to annihilate everyone? Like, do you think we're subhuman or something?
I think that one of the guys on the TV show, he said he was quoting somebody like, if there is not Russia in this world, what's the point then? Yeah, that you're not afraid to use nuclear weapons.
No, we're not afraid. Again, that's the problem with information, is sometimes it's incorrectly portrayed. The thing is, this was said by the president, that if we were to be hit with nuclear weapons, we would retaliate back, because a world without Russia is a world we don't want to live in. That's the whole quote. That's the point. The idea, again, is if there's a launch against our country, then we will launch back. That's it.
We haven't attacked you, haven't we?
And Russia hasn't launched any missiles at the UK.
But you have a big mouth about it.
Well, I'm sorry, but it was the UK. I don't know his title, but he is in the army. I believe he's in the army. He's the one that said it first. Again, you seem to think that you can say and do whatever you want, and we can't respond.
What did he say?
I told you already. He said that Ukraine can use the weapons that we provide, and not in these words, to directly attack Russia.
Yeah, but we
in Russia.
We will not attack you. We wouldn't attack you. Okay.
Yeah, but again, it's a proxy war. See, you said you just started following this recently.
Yeah, but
you have to be able to be interested.
We are not part of the conflict. We are indirectly supporting.
Yeah, you're part of the conflict. Actually, sorry, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. You're breaking up the internet. Hold on a sec. You're breaking up. I know
you have no right to threaten us.
But again, you're saying that we don't have the right to threaten you, but the problem is that you're also threatening us, and we're not the ones that we're always see the problem. Or
we're not threatening you with nukes. We're not threatening you with nukes. We don't do that. No. We don't want it.
Europe,
We avoid
Europe
it.
is
We avoid it crazily.
First of all,
You
there's
don't
a
avoid
German
it. You say
politician. There's
you're
a
willing to
German
do it.
politician. There's a German
Putin said
politician
we're
who
going
said
into
that
emergency. We're switching
yeah,
to emergency. We're going.
yeah.
We're not afraid to use nuclear weapons. That is
Yes,
very dangerous.
but
That is very
why?
dangerous.
But why? Calm down for a second. I'm calm. Please remain calm as well.
Okay, I will
Why did
remain
that
calm
happen?
if you let me.
Why
If you
did
let
that
me
happen?
talk.
But
I
why
will
did
remain
that happen?
calm if you let me talk for a while. Okay.
But why did that happen?
No,
Can you
that
explain?
happened. Now, the main point. Let's get to the point. The point
It
is
is. Why did that happen?
right. You had no right to invade Ukraine. You had no
But
right.
no, hold on. Why did that happen? You're saying, see, the thing is, I don't, it's not nice in a conversation to say one thing and then run away from it.
You are changing the topic all the time.
No, I'm not. You said that we're threatening, you said that we're threatening with nuclear weapons, and
I want to stick to the main point about Ukraine.
I know you want to, but
I want to stick to the point. We're talking
because
a real long time. We could have been more
perfectly,
more professional.
Sure, you know perfectly well that it was Britain that threatened to with nuclear war. It was Biden that threatened with nuclear war. Before we even put our missiles and our triad on emergency status. You know perfectly well. We all of a sudden didn't just bring them up to emergency status. It was Biden that said it was either sanctions or World War III. It was what was it? I forget her name. In the UK, and then Johnson, I think, also talked about nuclear war.
I don't think anybody listens to Biden.
I don't care. No, but that's the point. I don't care who listens or who doesn't listen. If a politician in another country says that
we wouldn't threaten you like that unless you would use nuclear weapons.
No, but see, the thing is, you're saying that we wouldn't, but history proves different, and we've already discussed it. We've already agreed on that.
You know, that's the problem. That's how manipulation works. That you try to convince that we are some kind of enemy.
No.
The thing is,
we
are seen as some kind of bad people. The Russians. We don't. That's not true. I live here in England, and people are saying very nice things about Russian, but lately it has changed.
And again, the reason why you said that we are threatening you with nuclear weapons. We put we don't have first strike legislation or first strike strategy that the U.S. does. We were threatened with the use of nuclear weapons before we put them up on emergency status by the U.S., by their rhetoric. I don't care if anyone listens to Biden or not. That is the president of a very powerful country with nuclear capability. You had politicians in Europe, including Great Britain, who also talked about the use of nuclear weapons before. So this is why it's important to get to the truth and to be able to fully understand.
Let's stick to the Ukraine, please.
Okay.
Let's stick to the Ukraine. This is like America. Yeah, I don't care about America right now. I care about Ukraine. I care about Eastern Europe. I care about Russia right now. How is it? I don't care what happens in America right now. I care what happens in Russia because that's That's what
you care about what happens in Ukraine. I agree with you. You don't really care about what happens in Russia. Please don't.
I really care what's happening in Russia. I know. Before the war, I was pro Putin actually. I was very pro. I look in the West, I look in Europe, and I don't see. I see weaklings. That's what I see. But I look in Russia. I see men who basically who took destroy country, who nobody gave them chance. Everybody thought they're not gonna be united, they're gonna fight each other, and he united it and he make it strong. He projected the power like it was good. People felt safety and stability, but throughout the time it came with a price. Still, I have so many doubts in our government, so sometimes I look up to Russia. But that time, the day when Putin announced that he's going to start the military operation, it was a big hit for me, and all the sympathy I had for Putin, it disappeared. It definitely disappeared.
Well, I assume you're a pacifist then, right? You subscribe to a pacifist ideology?
I am pacifist, but I know war is inevitable. If there is a war, it has to be.
Well, it's good that you're actually a clear-thinking pacifist, because pacifism doesn't work if 100 pacifists are in one room and 101, if 99 pacifists are in a room out of 100 people, then pacifism doesn't work, because that one last person is not a pacifist.
Pacifism is utopia. I think it will never work.
Yeah.
If you want a peace, you have to prepare for a war.
Exactly. So here's the thing. In our opinion, and let's close it off. In our opinion, and this is the majority. This is the majority opinion in Russia. It's proven with questionnaires. Yeah, if you ask younger people, they think a little bit different because as you get older, you get more conservative and you start to look at things differently. It's quite normal. Russia is and has been threatened for a long time. Nobody listened to us. Nobody listened to the Minsk agreements. We've warned people, other countries, numerous times that this shouldn't happen. They should remain neutral. We don't want this to happen. And now it has. So now we live in a different reality, and all of it could have been avoided if other governments actually listened to what our government was saying. That's my particular opinion. Now, again, I would like to live in an alternate universe where Europe and Russia listen to each other. No one tries to take over their own territory. No one tries to influence one country or another to be against or pro. That would be nice. Unfortunately, we don't live in that reality. And like it or not, whether you say that Europe is not threatening us, history proves that we have been threatened, we have been murdered, we have been killed before, and now we have the ability to defend ourselves. And I think this is one of the first times in history when Russia actually took the initiative and closed the skies of Ukraine, because an alternate scenario would probably bring the war to our soil, and then it would actually be a much bigger conflict, including NATO, most likely, including NATO countries.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the alternative was this. And we were put in this corner, not by Putin. We were put in this corner by years and years, even before Ukraine, years and years of sanctions and economic pressure. And now we're here. And this is how life has changed. So I hope for peace. I hope for prosperity in a neutral Ukraine. And hopefully, sooner or later, we'll be able to end this conflict with the least amount of lives killed.
Okay, I have a serious question for you.
Sure.
What do you think is going to happen when Putin is gone?
Do you want a serious answer?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope that someone in his not chain of command, but someone who is actually in the government, who has been properly educated and trained, would be able to actually head the government and continue building infrastructure, continue building schools like we've been doing, continue gasification of the entire country. And that's it. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I think you're right, but the problem is there is nobody who could replace him.
No, there are other people. It's just that for some reason people think that Sobchak and other insane people from the Communist Party can replace him. But no, there are other people who are actually just as capable of leading. And it's not somebody like Shoigu, who's a military. Sobyanin is capable of doing so. He's the mayor of Moscow, and he's done wonders to the city. Although he's a little bit older, but that's fine. There are people who are capable of doing so. But in the end, for us, if it's not broken and most people support it, there's no point in changing it. I mean, the US was like that before Truman as well. So they didn't have term limits, or they were against term limits, I believe.
There is a problem, when Putin, he built Russia, he built it on himself. That basically without him, the Russia is not that Russia we know.
But that's quite normal when countries that have fallen apart somewhere economically, politically, and everything like that, they always, when they're building their systems back up, they always surround one person historically, and then afterwards, once the system is in place,
we're in empires.
Yeah, but that's normal. That's the way people, when there is chaos, people try to get leadership from the best possible leader. I mean, that's normal. I'm not describing this correctly, but in terms of chaos, people don't all of a sudden start going, let's vote for somebody and have a lengthy democratic process. No, they actually try and find someone that can get them out of that situation as quick as possible. And then once everything settles and once there's a stable system, then you have other people, because then the system actually controls itself rather than one person being in charge of the system. So, and this is something that we were moving to, even with the constitution that was changed recently, that gave Putin less powers.
Well, they say that he has the absolute power. When there was there was declared that he's declaring a special military operation, many people in the army or even in the Kremlin, they didn't know about it. That's why it was so disorganized.
You know, there was actually no, there was a huge meeting it was televised regarding the one recognition, the Donetsk and Lugansk.
They just recognize the republic.
No, they had there's a whole huge conference when all of the people in a big room and politicians were actually discussing whether or not they should recognize the republics.
Okay, they recognize the republics.
Yeah,
but they haven't agreed for the special military operation.
No, hold on a second. Nobody knows that. Only people who are part of in that.
That's right. Nobody knows that. Putin knows that. You don't know that. That's the
problem. And you don't. The thing is, you don't know it either.
Yeah.
That's the point. You don't. No, the thing is, you don't know it either.
I know, but that's the problem.
So how can you speculate that that's what happened?
That is the problem.
But how can you speculate that's what happened if you don't even know if such a meeting held place?
Because I'm following the cues. It's obvious. It's obvious you're following the cues that people in Kremlin, many people in Kremlin, they didn't agree with the special military operation. In FSB, there is a war among them that actually Putin has fired so many people because many people many people didn't want it. Again,
there are people who are against this war.
No,
yeah,
Putin has been in power for 20 years.
So Merkel, whoa.
Completely unacceptable.
No. Why? No, hold on a second. Finland had somebody who was in power for 22 years.
When?
Look him up.
When?
I don't know, like 20 years ago?
Yeah, but not now.
So?
Even so, Russia, that's the problem with Russia. You can.
Well, no, but why isn't that not a problem with Finland?
Okay, let's say some people might call me hypocrite about Kosovo, but if there is a dictators in Kosovo, many people don't care. But if there is a dictator in the biggest country in the world with the second strongest army, with the biggest nuclear arsenal, that is basically doesn't obey law, and now invades sovereign country, that is a big problem. That is a big problem.
So what if a democracy like the US along with Great Britain invade other sovereign countries, which they have, and they have nuclear arsenals and they're very powerful? Why is that
okay? Would USA invade Mexico? Would USA invade Mexico?
If the conditions were right, they have special operations there.
I wouldn't agree with it. Just like I don't agree with you right now.
No, but you're saying you asked me a question if they would. I'm saying under special conditions, most likely they would. I'm not saying whether I agree or disagree with it. I'm just saying.
About they have no right to invade. There are no special conditions. You had no right to invade, to denazify or demilitarize Ukraine.
We're going around in circles again.
Yeah, then answer the question. Why do you think you have the right? Why do you think you have the right to demilitarize the Ukraine? You don't have the right. You don't have the right to denazify the Ukraine.
Because under UN Charter, one of the, I believe, legislation, something like that, a country does have the right to defend itself. And just because
you attacked.
Yeah, we did.
You're not defending themselves. So
it's called defending through attack. It's a strategy. You're not.
How Ukraine is at this point posed danger for you? How Ukraine has posed danger? Would Ukraine invade you? Would Ukraine militarily invade you? Would they
now they can't. That was the objective. You just basically answered the question yourself. Now they can't do so unless they have more tanks and weaponry.
They couldn't do it before. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it.
That's what you think. But again, look at Aristovich.
Ukraine would invade Russia. Serious.
Look at Aristovich. Yeah. Look at Aristovich.
No.
Look at Aristovich. You know who is?
Lost war.
You know who? That doesn't matter. I know it would be a lost war, but that doesn't mean that they wouldn't do it.
They wouldn't do it. They would. They're not Nazis. They're not Nazis.
That's your opinion.
They're for freedom.
Yes, sure. That's your opinion.
The problem is that in your propaganda, you're saying that you are literally saying that they're Nazis and you want to denazify Ukraine. Imagine what would happen if you would take control over Ukraine. What kind of atrocities?
Who's the Azov battalion?
Azov battalion are a paramilitary group. There's not just Azov. There's
there's Aidar. Yeah, I know. And who are they?
They are far right, and they are neo-Nazi group.
Are they officially part of the Ukrainian armed forces or not?
Since 2019, they're not, but they're fighting.
Since 2000, they're still part of the
Yeah,
they're
they
officially part of the Ukrainian armed
they
forces.
might be part, but Ukrainian parliament, they have said they have no connection to them since 2019.
Yeah, okay, come on. They're officially part of the armed forces of
Yeah,
Ukraine.
they are. Why do you think Ukrainians are Nazis? Do you think?
I don't think Ukrainians are Nazis. Hold on a second. Again, calm down. I'm calm, you're calm. It's just a conversation. They're a very, very powerful, not anymore, military group that is officially part of Ukraine, that adhere to neo-Nazi symbolism, neo-Nazi mind thought process. They don't, again,
Why is that? Why is that? Why they are neo-Nazi? Tell me why. Why?
because they have neo-Nazi ideology. I mean, this would be another conversation for another 4 hours.
Ideology? Why they have neo-Nazi ideology? Why do they have it? Do you know the main?
You have to ask them. You have to ask them. It's been like that since the 1920s.
Okay, answer me one
1940s,
question. Answer me one. What is the one of the main? What is the important essence of fascism, of Nazism? What makes Nazi a Nazi? Tell me. What is the condition?
One of the conditions of someone being a fascist. Are we talking economical or political?
Ideological, philosophically, whatever.
Well, it's saying that one particular group of people is better than another.
No.
Yeah.
These people, Nazis, they used to be, many of them, they used to be felt, it's a victimhood. They felt like victims. Germans, they felt.
Wait, hold on a second.
Yeah,
hold on.
it's victim.
Please, let's not delve into psychology. Let's not delve into psychology.
That's Nazism. No, that's Nazism.
Yeah, but now
you blame others for their problems and you think you're superior. And that gives you strength because you feel weak.
But their superiority is murdering their own people in the East.
Yeah.
So Ukraine didn't put a stop to that. European Union didn't put a stop to that. So either way, I have to go. I've answered your questions. You've answered mine. Mostly it's been a civil discussion.
Yeah, but you haven't answered my questions. Man.
What? I have answered all of your questions.
Tell me why.
Which questions I didn't ask?
Why? Tell me the reason why Ukrainians are Nazis then.
I never said. That's because no. Hold on. That's because listen. That's because I've never said Ukrainians are Nazis.
Why there is okay?
Hey, listen, Kashmir, you probably don't know this. You probably don't know this.
Why they exist? Why?
You probably don't know this, but there are millions of Ukrainians living in Russia. I have friends from Ukraine. My grandmother is from my grandmother is from Dnipropetrovsk, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a city in Ukraine. So let's put this to bed. You're saying that what? Russia is going after all Ukrainians because they're Nazis? No, this is absolute BS. We're talking about military groups, part of the government, who are officially part of the government, who are doing atrocities in the East, and nobody is stopping them. So no, Ukrainians are not all Nazis. There are very powerful Nazi forces in Ukraine that nobody was doing anything about until Russia came into play, even though we tried to fix the problem with the Minsk agreements. So I did answer your question.
Okay, no, I will need to answer you this question. Why there is Aidar Battalion? Why there is Azov Battalion? Why do they exist? Why do they fight so much? Where does the morale come from? Tell me.
You can ask them that. I'm not part of those battalions.
No,
you can ask them that. What's obvious?
It comes from Russian hatred, that they hate Russians. They hate being oppressed. They hate that Putin says there should be no Ukraine. They want their language.
Putin doesn't say no. Hold on a second.
That's the problem.
Putin never said there should be no Ukraine. You can find
said it's an artificial country created by Lenin. That's what he said, and he said it shouldn't exist. Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
He said it shouldn't exist. I really would like a video evidence of Putin saying Ukraine should not exist.
Yeah, look it up. It's there.
I really would like to see that in those exact words.
Yeah.
So that's now again regarding oppression. Then we're going to go an entirely different.
I see how you actually got angry when you hear about. You hear about killing people in Eastern. Yeah, they're being terrorized. Azov Battalion, they're real bastards. They commit atrocities, and Ukraine government hasn't done anything about it. And I really wish when this will end, that there will be consequences. There will be consequences for that.
So yeah, but how would you resolve this situation? Just sit on the sideline and watch it happen and hope for the best?
You know, there was the problem with Minsk agreements that Russia never intended to fulfill the agreements. When they
we can't fulfill the agreements.
Please,
We're
when
not
they
part
sign,
of them. Come on, man.
I will explain. I will explain. The first time when you signed the agreements, you started bombing Mariupol again, and the ceasefire dropped. There was no ceasefire, and you broke it. Ukrainians broke it as well. When there was a second, when you signed this second time, you just before the signature, you invaded the Baltsovo. I think Donetsk People Republic or Luhansk, they invaded the Baltsovo to gain upper hand. It's like it seems so childish, and there the ceasefire didn't stop. You haven't withdrew the troops from Ukrainian territory, and instead you amassed Russian troops on Ukrainian borders. That's what you did. You had never. It shows logically. If you look at it, it shows you never wanted to agree to Minsk agreement. You just to play, and you all the time you just wanted Ukraine for yourself.
That's your opinion, and you know what? That's completely incorrect, and I've proven that.
You don't want what,
but Putin it's okay.
Wants. That's the problem. You don't. I'm want
sorry. What?
You don't want what Putin wants.
What is that exactly? Can you be more specific?
You want peace. You want Ukraine to live okay. You want Russians in you want Russians in Donbass to live okay.
Not.
Yes. He wants Ukraine for himself. That's what he wants.
Why? We have the biggest country in the world. What's the
look
point?
At it. If you look at it, if you look at Russia along with Ukraine and Belarus connected, it's a 200 million country. That's way different than 140 million country.
So.
Like I said, it's all about.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. What's the point? You didn't answer. What's the point of? What's the point? What is the point? We have a lot of territory.
The point is this power leads to authoritarian government.
No. What's the point? What's the point of taking Ukraine at all costs and having to rebuild it afterwards?
40 million country, full of resources, full of Chernozem. You know, it's that's.
I know what Chernozem is.
Yeah,
and we still, again, there's
if you had a chance,
political play.
Ukraine, if you could.
No, you know why? Because Western Ukraine is full of people that I wouldn't want to have live next to.
That's what I'm saying. You don't want what Putin wants. That's what I'm saying.
That again, this is your opinion. That you think that you understand.
You're completely right. It is my opinion. Yes.
So again, thank you for actually being the first person in 3 years who managed to. Have any kind of conversation. Maybe you'll prove to others that I don't bite. But either way, you have your opinion. I have ours. I have mine. So we can leave it at that. And if you want to continue watching any videos, now I'm going to put this out and it's 2 hours long. If I do cut it in half, I may have to from part 1 to part 2. I'll find a way to do so. If not, I'll upload it. And that would be that. And if you want to comment, that's fine. But again, thank you for coming on. You want your opinion. You have your opinion. I have mine. I'm not going to cut any parts out of the video. The only thing I may do is just cut it in half just for viewership because 2 hours is a bit heavy.
I want to apologize to you and to the viewers. For example, if I was being too zealous, maybe I was being disrespectful. This is the last thing I want to do. I don't want to be disrespectful towards the Russians or Russian culture. I want the best for everybody, really. And it's basically this is my goal. This is my goal that we could all get along, and that authoritarian government, like in Russia, is very to me. I think this is it's in the long run, it's hurting Russian people.
Well, let us decide for ourselves.
This is my opinion. You have different thoughts. This is just my opinion.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in the comments as well. Okay.
All right. See you. See you.
Ciao. Ciao.